From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes. Brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another month as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Minnesota sports scene. And a lot to get into. We'll start with Major League Baseball, the Minnesota Twins. They're in a heated battle with your Cleveland Guardians.
Oh, boy.
Who's coming out of the mediocre AL Central. Does anybody want to win?
Mediocre? How about
And that's kind.
bad? Yeah, that's being very kind. Well, Cleveland ran up the white flag at the trade deadline. They gave away Aaron Civale. They gave away Ahmed Rosario. They got your guy, Noah Syndergaard. He actually looked pretty good. I watched the game he pitched. He got hit by a ground ball or a line drive, so we'll see how that turns out. But then they traded away Josh Bell, too. So their free agent signing of Bell and Zunino in the offseason turns out to be a bust. They give away Josh Bell at the deadline, and they're saying, no, not so much. Even a half game out, we're throwing up the white flag.
The AL Central is the lightweight division
maybe
of
they
baseball.
Maybe they feel they can win without these guys.
I think they do. I don't think there's really any competitive force making the Twins or the Guardians or anybody else in the AL Central to go out and acquire pieces. Where if you look at the AL West, we've got Texas, Houston, the LA Angels, even Seattle. They are all making moves. They're all bringing in studs like Verlander and Scherzer and Giolito. And then you look at the AL East, Tampa Bay has to go get Aaron Civale just to keep Baltimore in their sights. So it's much different. It's all about the geography. And so the Twins basically stand pat. The Guardians give away big chips, and now we'll see who wins that division. I wouldn't even count out Detroit.
Oh, boy. That's saying something, too,
I know it is.
because they're not very good.
Detroit would have an X by their name in any other division. That would mean eliminated.
Already
right?
eliminated.
In the Central, they're not that far out.
Well, Kansas City's still alive thanks to sweeping the Twins.
Yeah,
right?
they are. They picked up 3 games.
There's only 25 out now instead of 28. Unbelievable. Yeah, I don't think that the Twins should have given up any young talent to upgrade and make a run. I think that if they figure that maybe Jorge Polanco, after some reps, will be, the Jorge Polanco we know and love, and if they feel like Caleb Thielbar can come back and help them, and if they get some help from guys that they already have, they might be all right. But it just seems like when they're hitting, they're not pitching. When they're pitching, they're not hitting. And we saw a nice combination of that in Kansas City. We'll see how things shake out, but I think clearly this division is now theirs to lose.
And what are they going to do with Dallas Keuchel? I saw him pitch last Friday night in St. Paul at the AAA level.
Good question.
Going into that game against Toledo, he hadn't given up a run. He had a perfect ERA. Now, he gave up a couple against the Mud Hens. But, look, Keuchel's not here to stay in St. Paul for much longer. So do the Twins bring him up, plug him into their bullpen, maybe give him a spot start? Or do they just say, you're gone, and somebody else grabs him?
That's a great question. He still is only throwing in the 80s. His fastball's only in the 80s, yeah. So I'm not so sure that the Twins look at that as something favorable. They like guys like Duran who throw triple digits. But, he's former Cy Young Award winner. He knows how to win. He's been on championship teams. This is a guy that could add something to your locker room on top of everything
I think so, and he would bring probably the guts, the savvy, the fortitude, that championship pedigree from his days in Houston. And look, when you lose velocity on your fastball, you have to find other ways to get guys out, and that's what he's been doing in St. Paul. I think it's low risk, high reward. Why did you bring the guy in anyways?
No question.
If you don't like him, cut him loose.
All right, speaking of St. Paul, what about Trevor Larnach? I heard rumors that there were teams in the National League, like the Mets, for example, that wanted Trevor Larnach. I would be playing Trevor Larnach now and sending Joey Gallo packing. I don't know how many times I need to say this, but that needs to happen at some point here.
Well, they still like Joey Gallo. Obviously, he's a boomer bust hitter. If he doesn't hit it out, he strikes out. He does give them a solid glove in the outfield. He can play first base on occasion. He's a veteran. I think that also helps him. Look, as crazy and dysfunctional as things have been for the Twins this season, they are the team to beat.
No question.
I'm not saying they're going to win it.
It's theirs to lose.
They could still find a way to trip up, and Cleveland or Detroit takes this division. But look, if they can punch their playoff ticket and get in, then you never know, right?
That's been my theory all along. Just get in, baby.
All right, well, stick around. We'll talk some more baseball with Joe Nathan, one of the top closers in the history of the Twins, and we'll also get into the purple. This is 10K Takes, your Twinkies ticket.
The excitement is real at Fond du Lac Casino. With over 650 slots to play, there's always something going on right in the heart of downtown Duluth. Come in to enjoy 2 floors of entertainment where you'll find some of the hottest new games along with a number of the old favorites. Play at your comfort level, all the way up to high stakes where the payouts can be huge. Relax in a comfortable atmosphere and maybe get a beverage while you gather and have fun with your friends. Open 7 days a week so you can
have a great time out at Fond du Lac.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
10,000 Takes continues along, and we're going to continue talking some baseball and trade deadline and so on and so forth. And joining us now to do just that, Twins Hall of Famer Joe Nathan. Joe, welcome to the show. I guess you probably heard that the first time you played a Major League Baseball game. Welcome to the show. Did somebody come up to you and say that at some point?
Welcome to the show. Yeah, my first manager was Dusty Baker, so first time walking into his office, you remember clear as day. And he's cool as a cat, and the first thing is, "What's up, dude?" And he's like, "Welcome to the show." Basically, just like that, exactly how you say it.
Are you surprised that the Twins did not make a move here prior to the trade deadline?
It's one of those where, am I surprised? No, not really. It's something where it's got to be the right fit. It's got to be something that obviously the best trades are the ones that work out for both clubs. But it's more about finding that right piece that you think is not only going to help you out on the field, but also be a good fit in the clubhouse. And sometimes those things just don't come about. But with that said, they're still in a good position. I think as long as they don't get rid of a piece and make themselves worse, they're in a good spot to, hopefully play some good baseball here and win this division. And then as we all know, once you get to the postseason, it's anybody's game from there.
So, Joe, Minnesota's primary competitor in the AL Central, Cleveland, appears to be waving a white flag. They've dealt away some key pieces. The Twins stand pat. Is this now the Twins division? Are they clearly the team that should win it?
I think if they weren't thinking that even before those moves that the Guardians made, even before that, their confidence should have been fine anyway. I know it's still tight, but yeah, with the fact that they would trade away guys in the middle of this tight race, knowing that if you make it to the postseason and get on a run, we've seen wild card teams get on a run and go deep into the postseason, if not win it. So, I think for the Twins, they should have been confident already, but now that you see these moves, it should give them a boost in itself. It should almost be like they did make a trade and got some guys in, just seeing that their opponents got weaker.
Something Eric pointed out on our radio show earlier, he mentioned that teams like Cleveland and Minnesota, because the division isn't very good, are not compelled to make deals. They're not in a situation where, hey, I better, because you look at the National League West with the Dodgers and the Padres and the Giants, or the American League West for that matter, with Houston getting Verlander back and Texas going out and getting Scherzer. Those type of things. That's a tit for tat there, right? And the Twins and Cleveland really didn't have to do that.
No. And yeah, it's one of those where, again, the other teams are making these moves and they're making splashes with that. But at the same time, who knows? I think more so with probably the Verlander deal. Um, Ver knows where he's going back to. He's very comfortable with the Astros. That's probably a really good deal for them to bring him over. He's going to be excited about going back there. The fan base is going to be super excited about having Ver back there. Um, but yeah, in the Twins case, it's don't make a move just to make a move. If something came, I'm sure they were in talks and trying to do some things. But again, if it's not the right feel or the right fit, don't just do it to make a move to make you feel better that we did something. We're trying. Right now they're leading the division. Why make a move unless somebody else in the division does something first?
So you look at that AL West, Justin Verlander to Houston, as you said, Max Scherzer to Texas, and the LA Angels desperately trying to prove to Shohei Ohtani, the super freak, we want to win. We want you here, big picture. So they get Lucas Giolito. Do you think if the Angels just get into the postseason, that's enough for Shohei to say, all right, maybe I'm going to stay put?
Whew. That's the tough question right there. It's going to be a situation. Obviously, Shohei is going to bring on a tremendous demand for him, but at the same time, the Angels can be that team that can, I think, afford him. I think they can, they can entice him because he's been there and very comfortable there. It's definitely a tough situation because Shohei's definitely has deserved the right and should see what that opportunity can bring. But at the same time, I think what the Angels are doing, at least showing Shohei that we are interested in you and we're going to do everything we can to keep you here because we know what you mean to this game and to our organization.
As the Twins stumbled prior to the trade deadline, losing all three to Kansas City, and you looked at the squad, had you had an opportunity to add somebody or to add a position, what would you have done without having to give up the farm? Where do you think they need the help?
I think it always comes down to the pitching. I think if there was a piece that everyone probably looks at, it's pitching, and for the most part, the big splashes were pitchers that were made. So, I think it's kind of a broken record. I think they're always looking for that arm that can really give them that depth, especially going late into the second half into that playoff push that kind of just wakes everybody up and gets you fresh. It's not just a trade that brings it over, but it makes everybody else better too. So, and that's the thing. Can you find that guy? Is that guy out there? Is there enough out there? And do you want to give up, most of your farm system to get a guy like that? And it's a big gamble. And, at the same time, they're one game above 500 right now. So they're sitting there going, listen, we do have a good chance to win this division, but where are we compared to the Rangers, compared to the Astros, compared to the Dodgers? And do we want to give up the farm to bring a guy over that may just get us to the postseason?
Joe, if the Twins play October baseball, it's going to come up. They have an 18-game postseason losing streak. It's the longest in North American pro sports. Now, most of these guys have nothing to do with it. Rocco's only been around for, a couple playoff series. How would you deal with that? The media's going to bring it up. The fans are going to talk about it. But in the room, how do you block that out?
To be honest, I think you bring it up first. I think you talk about it in the clubhouse right away. Listen, this is going to come up, and who cares? You guys have not been around. I was more a part of that than the guys in the clubhouse. So
True. I was going to say that, but I didn't want you to leave our show.
You, Joe?
So I would talk about it and just say, listen, this isn't your problem. Go out and play ball like you always do and get the elephant off their back and get that thing in the room and let it meander, let them let them do what they have to, because you know it's coming up. Like you said, you know it's going to be talked about, and you might as well talk about it before the media and everybody else gets on you.
Johan Duran imploded the other day against Kansas City, walked a bunch of guys, gave up a walk-off grand slam to Bobby Witt. As a closer, what advice would you have for him? I mean, you got to put it in the rearview mirror right away, right? I mean, is that easy to do?
It's not easy. No, it's definitely not easy, but that's comes with the territory. I mean, that's part of the job, and that's what makes the ninth inning so tough, because there are going to be days that it falls on you, and you have to own up, wear it, and come back the next day and do it all over again and be better. I think the good news is that dude's stuff is unbelievable. And, he can just go out and rely on that fastball and just get back to the basics of locating that 104 and blowing dudes away and everything. And his secondary stuff plays. So to me, he doesn't worry me at all with bad outings. I think for him, this could be a wake up call for the whole team, to go in there and get swept, against a team that was in the bottom in your division. And the good thing is maybe it'll wake these guys up and go, guys, let's go. It's time to kick ourselves in the butt and get this thing rolling.
Yeah, and Johan Duran, it was a couple of weeks ago. He had one inning where he threw 9 pitches in triple digits, 100 miles an hour or more. And he's not on an island these days. I mean, Aroldis Chapman has done it. Are you amazed at the gas these guys can throw now?
I am. I can't. It's crazy to me how fast the average fastball has ticked up from my first year in the big leagues. I think it was maybe 90 point something miles an hour. And now I think the average is creeping closer to 95, at least 94 point something. I mean, it's unreal how quick the average has jumped. And then with how many guys that throw in the triple digits, it's crazy to me. The only downside to this is, the one thing I always say is, listen, always, always, always more important, work on that secondary stuff. Work on that secondary stuff, because I can tell you right now, those dudes in the big leagues, I don't care if you're shooting a gun at them, they will hit a bullet if they know it's coming. So it doesn't matter how hard you throw it to them. If they think you're throwing a fastball, they're going to hit it. So for me, it's still rely on location, still rely on your secondary stuff and pitching. And the good thing is Duran does it. He does that very well.
Yeah. Well, Joe, appreciate you stopping in with us. I know you're in town this weekend for the Joe Mauer Hall of Fame ceremony. I'm sure it'll be fun for you to reacquaint yourself with some of your former teammates, and we always appreciate you coming on.
Well, thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Joe. He
is Joe Nathan, Twins Hall of Famer, right here on 10,000 Takes. We're back with more after this timeout. Stay with us.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect. Maya? Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Well, it's early August, which means football, the NFL.
Yeah.
And the Purple are working away out in Eagan, getting ready for their first preseason game. I see Dalvin Cook has a new home. All kinds of things going in the NFL. So what are your expectations here early on from the Vikings?
Yeah, here comes the NFL, ready to Bigfoot every other sport in its path. Well, expectations. I think the defense has to be much better. They've got to make a quantum leap. They're all excited about Brian Flores, who is a defensive whiz.
Is he going to suit up?
But yeah, he can't suit up. He's not going to be able to rush the passer or cover receivers. So can he get these guys in a scheme that works? I think they'll be much more aggressive than they were under Ed Donatel. I don't think they're going to run that Tampa 8 where everybody falls back except for 3 pass rushers. But they've lost some pieces. I mean, you look at some of the guys on the depth chart, I don't even recognize the names. I mean, there's no Eric Kendricks. There's no Patrick Peterson, guys like that. So can they replace him? Is Harrison Smith going to be rejuvenated? Can Cameron Bynum, the young safety, be a complement to Harrison Smith? I think he can. Danielle Hunter is locked in with his new deal. Can he stay on the field?
Yeah, that's the big question if you ask me, because Danielle Hunter gives you a pass rush, and that changes everything. It changes how the D-backs operate. It changes how your linebackers operate. And you know, he's got the big money deal, and this has always been the question mark. The talent hasn't been the issue. The talent is there. We just need to keep him healthy. Now, I know he had the neck issue. You know, that's nothing to joke about, but Danielle Hunter has to be on the field for this defense to go forward this year, and we'll see if that happens. Offensively, I think they're fine. You know, I mean,
well, they should be. I still think they're going to miss Dalvin Cook. So
I agree.
I like Alexander Madison, but he's a different kind of running back. He's more of just a power runner. He's not a guy that's going to catch a lot of passes, or at least he hasn't so far. So is Kenny Nwangu going to get a lot of snaps? They have some other youngsters in there that they're going to try to incorporate it. Maybe running back by committee. The O-line is also, as always, pivotal. Can they keep Kirk upright? Can they keep him in a clean? I know you don't get dirty on field turf, but can they keep him standing up? Because if Kirk has time to survey with guys like Justin Jefferson and T.J. Hawkinson and K.J. Osborne and perhaps Jordan Addison, if he can run around as fast as he drives a car, watch out. I mean, Kirk will be fine. He puts up fantasy numbers, right?
Yeah, no,
he's
puts up good
capable of it,
numbers,
especially in domes.
And like you said, they keep him upright, and they have a running game to go with it. Kirk will be just fine. Kirk can throw the football. Just don't ask him to move around a lot back there.
No, he's a rock star now. He's on the, on that documentary.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
About the quarterbacks, and he and Patrick Mahomes and
all kinds of good stuff.
Marcus Mariota.
Yeah. Well, if you want to buy tickets, I hear they're pretty cheap for the preseason games.
They'll probably be giving those away.
Oh, they are. It's already. I had friends ask me, said, "Is it real that they're only $5 online?" I said, "It's very real."
And that's NFL wide, folks. You want to go to Arrowhead or Lambeau and scratch a venue off your bucket list?
Now's the time.
Cheap in the preseason.
We're back with takes after this. Stay with us.
The excitement is real at Fond du Lac Casino. With over 650 spots to play, there's always something going on right in the heart of downtown Duluth. Come in to enjoy 2 floors of entertainment where you'll find some of the hottest new games along with a number of the old favorites. Play at your comfort level all the way up to high stakes where the payouts can be huge. Relax in a comfortable atmosphere and maybe get a beverage while you gather and have fun with your friends. Open 7 days a week so you can
have a great time out at Fond du Lac.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect. Maya? Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
$10K takes on television, getting set to wrap up yet another episode. But before we go away, we'll talk some Gopher football. And in a couple of minutes, takes of the day, we'll find out how angry you are this week.
Not angry at all.
No? Well, maybe you're happy.
We'll see. We'll find out in a few minutes. Apparently, there are some former Gopher football players and employees that are, I don't know if angry is the right word, but not happy with the way things ran under P.J. Fleck during their tenure. Do you give any credence to what I call potentially sour grapes? But, you don't know. Was it some guy that was sitting the bench, didn't get to play, and did a bunch of push-ups and then got mad because he didn't get to play football? Or what exactly do you think is going on? Is it a volatile situation under PJ?
Well, a couple things. in play here, in my opinion.
Okay.
I don't think you can discount anything these days, given the light of what's happened at Northwestern.
No doubt.
Previously Michigan State, Penn State, and even Michigan, back in the Bo Schembechler era. So you can't just sweep it under the rug. But I want these people who came out and made these accusations, serious accusations against the character of P.J. Fleck, to put their name next to it. Because some of his players have come out and said, no, it's not true, including Tyler Nubin, the safety, who's probably going to be playing in the NFL next season. I wouldn't doubt anything in major college sports. It is far from pure. But I don't have enough to go on. I'm not throwing PJ under the bus. I don't know anything. You know, I might take a shot at him because he can't win the Big Ten West, which is like the AL Central when it comes to college football.
Boy.
That's fair game, but I'm leaving this one alone until I know more.
Okay. We do know that your Gophers open up against Nebraska. They have to go to North Carolina. Is this a Rose Bowl or bust season for the Gophers? Because USC and UCLA come in next year, and they do go to the Rose Bowl next year, but it's to play UCLA. It's not to play in the Rose Bowl game.
We don't know exactly what the new Big Ten will look like in 2024, how they're going to shake it out. But we do know, as you said, here come the Trojans, here come the Bruins. You might even see Oregon. You might
Washington.
Washington.
And I'm hearing potentially, did you hear this rumor? Clemson and Florida State.
Oh, boy.
Clemson, Florida State, Washington, and Oregon. The Gophers will never.
So Minnesota Gophers win the Big Ten West this season.
This is it, baby.
Go to that championship game in Indy, and then if you don't go to the the next level, you'll at least go to probably Pasadena. This is your shot. And they haven't been able to take advantage of it, in the last few years. And it's been a winnable West.
Very winnable, and they have not won it yet. They're 0-for, by the way.
PG has a chance to win 3 trophies this season. Little Brown Jug, a rare game with Michigan at home. Can't wait for that one. Of course, the Axe, which he's got that now 2 years in a row, and the Pig, which he can't get the Pig from Iowa, but he's got a chance.
Okay, we'll see. Be lucky to get one of them. All right. I think it's time for Takes of the Day.
Yeah, let's find out if you're an angry American, sarcastic Sam, or maybe a happy camper.
Well, I'm going to shift it back to baseball. Your Minnesota Twins did nothing at the trade deadline, and I think that that's a positive. Look, I know there's Twins fans out there saying, hey, they could have added a piece or two here, maybe make a run in the postseason. Look, if they get into the playoffs, great. They are the favorites, as we talked about earlier, to win this division. It's theirs to lose. However, let's look at history, and I think that Derek Falvey and Thad Levine might have done just that. You don't have to look back too far what they did at the trade deadline last year, and it imploded. They went out and got Tyler Mahle, gave up Spencer Steer, who, oh, by the way, pretty good first baseman now for the Cincinnati Reds, who have been on top of their division. How about the trade that sent Yanier Cano and several others for Jorge Lopez, who the Twins jettisoned a couple of weeks ago? That was their one move, oh, by the way. And they lost a guy who is one of the top relievers in the American League in Yanier Cano. So good move, Twins. Don't do anything. Sit on your hands, Derek Falvey. That's the best deal you have made in the last year and a half.
Let's see what that mood meter says. Sarcastic Sam. So he's basically saying, who needs Scherzer? Who needs Verlander? Who needs Giolito? They're fine the way they are. Okay. Well, my take of the day, of course, this coming weekend, Hall of Fame ceremonies in Canton, Ohio, the birthplace of the NFL. And it's always, it's always fabulous to see all of these legends get together and reminisce and induct the new ones. But it's going to be a little hollow, because 3 icons won't be there. We lost Bud Grant, the Iceman. We lost Franco Harris, the Immaculate Reception. And we lost Jim Brown, one of the greatest guys to ever wear cleats. They're all gone. They won't be there. And I know that's going to be something that the guys that are there, they're going to notice that. These guys cast a huge shadow. And we had Drew Pearson on the other day. He's in the Hall of Fame, played with the Dallas Cowboys. Hail Mary, not a popular guy in Minnesota. But he said last year at the Hall, Jim Brown entered the ballroom, and when he walked in, every one of those guys stood up and gave him a standing ovation. Universal respect. So it'll be a great weekend, but a tough weekend.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, on that note, let's FedEx out our thank yous. One to Alex Yambrick, David Weld, Rocky, Joe Nathan, for Wally. I'm Eric saying so long. This is 10K Takes, your sports ticket.